Welcome to day 2 of Passion Week. We remember all of what Christ suffered, all he endured, both leading up to the cross and ultimately what ended at the cross and ultimate resurrection on Sunday. All he endured for you and for me. The humiliation. See, the crucifixion was not just about ending a person's life. It was about humiliating them to show the power of Rome and that no one, and I mean no one, can stop Rome or anything that they want to accomplish. They convicted an innocent man to die. And he was much more than just an innocent man. He's the King of Glory. And after they sentenced him, they began to humiliate him. They wanted to show the power of Rome. They wanted to show who Rome was and that no one was going to cross Rome. And so they flogged him. They gave him 40 minus 1 whips with the cat of nine tails. And what the cat of nine tails was, it was a barbaric torturing device. That it was bones, it was metal, it was made to rip into the skin of the one who was enduring it. And that is what happened to Christ. He was flogged with it. And the reason why it's 40 minus 1 is because if they gave them 40 lashes with the cat of nine tails, then according to Roman law, he was considered dead because no one survived that. No one survived 40 lashes with the cat of nine tails. And they gave him 39 because they wanted him alive enough to ultimately be finished at the cross. They said of him after he was scourged that he was barely recognizable, that his skin was barely hanging on him. And I'm using these graphic details so we can have in mind the weight and the trauma of what was happening that week and all of what he endured that led up to the cross. Then the soldiers of the governor took Jesus into the praetorium. They gathered the whole Roman cohort around him. They stripped him and put a scarlet robe on him. And after twisting a crown of thorns, they put it on him, his head, and a reed in his hand, in his right hand. They knelt before him and mocked him, saying, "Hail, the King of the Jews!" And they spat on him. They took the reed and began to beat on the head. And when they had mocked him, they took the scarlet robe off him and put his own garments back on him. And they led him away to be crucified. So, some of the details that they're talking about here. It was important that they mentioned that it was a scarlet robe. It wasn't any other color. It was a scarlet robe. And the reason why that is important is because scarlet is the color of royalty. And so they are mocking him because they said, "Hail the King of the Jews." So they're mocking his title. They're mocking the fact that he is the Christ. But in Rome's eyes, there is no king, there's no royalty but Caesar. So to have someone claim of themselves that they are the Christ would be a spit in the face of Rome. And so in return, they are showing Rome's might, that there is no one in charge but Caesar. And if anyone claims to be in charge like Christ claimed to be the King of the Jews, they were going to show and set him as an example to the rest of the world to say, if you're going to make the same claims, you're going to meet the same fate that he had met. And the reason why they put a reed in his right hand is like a scepter. Royalty uses things such as scepters to show that they are powerful, to show their might. And then they began to beat him with it. They beat him in his head, where they put the crown of thorns. And the crown of thorns would have sunk down into his skull. And they were beating it even further to sink it down into his skull as they proceeded to beat him with the cat of nine tails. This man, much more than a man, this King of glory, was mocked, and he suffered. But this is just the beginning. This is not where it ends. It continues on past this. So continue to follow us. Continue to follow as we go through the story of the Stations of the Cross. Continue to follow as we follow Jesus as he goes up the Via Dolorosa, the way of suffering. And let this be a reminder and be what we think about as we go through Passion Week. To remember, while all of this happened, Jesus did it willingly. Jesus did it for you. Jesus did it for me. He took the penalty of sin upon himself. He bore our shame, our guilt, and ultimately concluding with our death, because the punishment of sin is death, and he placed it upon himself and did that willingly. And so let's continue to follow him as he walks up the Via Dolorosa. Have a great night.